Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to the very first edition of Deep Cut Dive. That's right, the inaugural episode. So a little bit of background on what this show is going to be all about. I'm going to try and bring these as often as I possibly can. I don't know whether I'm going to do these daily or maybe like every other day. We'll kind of see how it goes. But the idea behind this show is to take a look at very notable bands. And again, we're talking, rock, hard rock, classic rock, metal, prog rock, bands that are notable, that have what we consider hits, or, songs that make up greatest hits compilations, or, songs that bands play live all the time. We're not going to talk about those. Okay, so bands that have very notable tracks that the casual fan says, oh yeah, that band, I know these three songs. I remember hearing them on the radio. All right, I've seen them live once or twice. They play those songs. I love those songs. I don't really know anything else by them, right? That's the kind of vibe we're going to go for this show. We're going to kind of take a look at what I'm going to do for every episode is I'm going to pick 5 tracks from deep in their discography. They could be on very well-known best-selling albums, but the tracks that are kind of hidden towards the end of the album that people never talk about. They weren't played on the radio. They're not included on greatest hits compilations, and the bands don't play them live. Could be tracks that are on albums that maybe didn't sell well. Every big band has those couple of albums, right, that just kind of like got forgotten. Or maybe they were released later in their career when, people aren't really buying their albums anymore, right? Or maybe it's hidden gems from the vault, bonus tracks that were available on, specific box sets or special releases, things like that. Or maybe, a song that was played on a live album that never made it to a studio album. So, if you didn't listen to that live album, you probably never heard that song before. That's the kind of thing we're going to go for here. So, more of the kind of stuff that's buried within the catalog that, again, not played on the radio. Not part of 2, 3 greatest hits compilations. Not something they play live all the time. So, if you are a big-time follower of these bands that I'm going to be talking about, you probably know these songs. So what I'm asking all of you then to take a listen to the 5 that I'm going to point out, and then you go into the catalog and pull out 5 hidden gems from their catalog to then offer to everybody else. So I want to make this as interactive as possible. All right. So for those of you who are maybe just not fans at all or casual fans of these bands, what I'm going to offer and the other hardcore fans are going to offer, hopefully will be lots of nuggets for you to then go and investigate. All right. Because I think the best thing about a show like this is to be like, Pete, you know what? I've always heard of that band. I remember those 1 or 2 radio hits, but I never dove into their catalog. Well, now here's your chance to go and investigate some cool stuff from within that catalog that you're probably never going to hear unless you really go and investigate, right? So let's get started. So the first band I'm going to tackle in this series is none other than Kansas, okay? A very favorite band of mine, all right? I know they're popular with a lot of people, but again, you'd be surprised how many people you talk to and you mention Kansas. They're like, oh yeah, Carry On Wayward Son, Dust in the Wind, and they don't know much else, okay? Which is a shame because this band has a lot of great songs. And there's also, another round of folks who are like, yeah, Kansas, yeah, you know what, they're called a prog band. I'm into progressive music, but I don't really consider Kansas a prog band because, Dust in the Wind is in prog and Carry On Wayward Son is borderline. And I've heard a couple of the songs and they don't sound too prog to me. Well, unless you go and investigate the catalog, all right, you really wouldn't know. But there's a lot of really good prog in Kansas' catalog, as well as a lot of really good, more like arena rock stuff that would appeal to folks who liked Dust in the Wind or Carry On Wayward Son, or, a couple other tracks they might have heard. So let's get started. So Kansas, for my first deep track, or deep cut, I should say, I'm going to go back to their first album, okay, the self-titled Kansas album released in 1975. And it's actually the 2 tracks that finish off the album. They basically segue into each other. And for me, I always kind of put them together because they basically come across as this one bombastic, epic 17-minute long track, right? Apricot and Death of Mother Nature Suite from Kansas. Okay, like I said, they kind of go hand in hand. I was almost going to just give the last one, Death of Mother Nature Suite, but they really, it's almost like one song. All right, they definitely move right into each other, and they become like this big epic track that is just so good. So the Apricot song is a little more uplifting and bright sounding. You got great kind of proggy keyboards, and you got the alternating vocals between Steve Walsh and Robbie Steinhardt. Lots of glorious violin and guitars, and it's just a really cool proggy symphonic gem, right? And then that segues right into the Death of Mother Nature Suite, which is a complete about face. Okay, you got heavy guitars, then you got atmospheric keys, soaring violin, and Robbie Steinhardt's gorgeous vocals, as well as snarling, kind of like hard rock style vocals. And it's just a big, epic, grandiose track, but it's heavy and dark, and it closes out the album in spectacular fashion. So like for those folks who are like, yeah, I don't know, I don't really consider Kansas a prog band, well, listen to I'm going to say this one, but these two tracks, Apricot / Death of Mother Nature Suite. Doesn't get much better than that. So that's my first one. Second one, I'm going to go to the Mask album, released that same year. Okay. This one right here, and I'm going to go with Child of Innocence. All right, this is for all of you folks who like catchy stuff, but crave like blistering hard rock guitar. Okay, because I think Child of Innocence is one of Kansas's heavier tunes, and it falls right in line with some of that real crunchy stuff that we were getting right around this time, like, Montrose and Boston and, any of those other bands in the kind of mid-'70s that were really hitting hard with heavy rock riffs, all right? Complex time signatures, very cool vocals, just enough keyboards to make it really interesting. Child of Innocence. Fantastic, fantastic song. All right, so I'm going to fast forward to a few years to their Monolith album, which is this one right here. So, for many people, they list Kansas's greatest achievements as the self-titled debut, Song for America, Mask, Left Overture, Point of No Return. I like to think that Monolith is included in that group of absolute drop-dead classics at the beginning of Kansas's catalog. Not that Audio Visions, which came after this, isn't very solid, because it is, but I think they're, that kind of triumvirate of a collection of great albums to start off a catalog. This is probably the last truly great album, I think, from Kansas from that era. I think they've made very fine albums after that, but I think, when you look back. Anyway, and the song that I want to pick off of this one is a song that I think has all the qualities that would endear itself to those who crave maybe a little more radio-friendly fare. Okay, so for those who want to hear those soaring harmonies and catchy hooks, and you don't want the music to be too complicated, you dig the violin's good. All right, so I'm going to go with A Glimpse of Home. Okay, because it's got just enough like hard rock guitar muscle, but it's not a complex song. I definitely wouldn't call it one of Kansas's proggier tracks by any means. But it's got just enough, right? But I think it's got good, like the beginning of the song is just a good, catchy, hard rock tune, and then the chorus comes in, and it's just so memorable. And you got amazing vocals from Steve Walsh, one of the greatest singers of all time. Okay, and just absolutely sweeps you away. And I never understood why A Glimpse of Home wasn't chosen to be like a radio favorite, okay? Or, not a song that they would put on, the greatest hits compilations, or that they would play live often, that sort of thing, because it just kind of falls in line with what a catchy, memorable song that should be kind of, thrown out there for the masses would exemplify. So A Glimpse of Home from Monolith, definitely check that one out as well. All right, on the same lines here. All right, let's go for another track that I think also has those melodic, hooky qualities that I think the casual fan would really like, had this song been kind of, portrayed as single material back in the mid-'90s. We're going to go 1995 for the Freaks of Nature album, Hope Once Again. A really, really, really memorable, majestic track from Kansas. Again, Steve Walsh, okay, he's maybe not at the top of his game here by this stage of the game, but it's still Walsh. The vocal melody is just absolutely beautiful. It's so memorable. Okay, you got David Ragsdale's soaring violin. Hope Once Again, it should have been a hit for this band. Should have been. Okay, and this, by the way, is a very underrated album. It's got some heavy material on it. It's got really proggy stuff. This is a, I remember when this came out, I was like, holy crap, Kansas is back. All right, Kansas is back in a big way. So definitely check out Freaks of Nature, but Hope Once Again is the song we're kind of talking about here for our number 4. For our number 5, I'm going to go to their most recent album. They got a brand new one coming out in a couple weeks, but the Prelude Implicit from 2016. Okay, this is the album right here. So this is the first studio album from Kansas in a long, long time. You got Ronnie Platt in the lead vocal slot, okay, takes over for the retiring Steve Walsh, does a fantastic job, all right? And the song we're going to focus on here, our deep cut from this album, is The Voyage of 818. And ironically, the length of the song is also 8 minutes and 18 seconds. So 8 minutes, all right, so, wait a second, 8-minute song from Kansas. We haven't heard an 8-minute song from Kansas in ages. That is absolutely correct. So the reason why I'm pointing this one out, okay, because this is for all you Kansas fans who love the 70s stuff and crave the long progressive rock epics and the real kind of complex arrangements and things like that. The Voyage of 818 is the song for you. Not only does it have those kind of trademark Kansas vocal hooks, Ronnie does a great job singing this song, but it's got those kind of crunchy guitars and the, ever-changing time signatures and the very cool keyboards and the violin all kind of weaving their way through each other. The Voyage of 818 reminds me of kind of early stuff like The Pinnacle and Voyage of Mariabron and all that kind of stuff, magnum opus, that sort of thing. So if you like that classic early or mid-late 70s Kansas sound, okay, The Voyage of 818 is the song for you. So for all of you who kind of, oh, I'm not going to listen to that new Kansas album because Steve Walsh isn't in the band anymore, and it probably doesn't sound like their classic stuff. Wrong. Check it out. I'm telling you, this is a very strong album. That is a great track. That hopefully you listen to The Voyage of 818. Hopefully that will reinstore your faith that Kansas is a band to be reckoned with still here in 2020. They got a new album coming out in a couple weeks. You definitely don't want to miss it. All right, the spirit of the band is back. Okay, and it's good to have them back. Trust me. And I saw them live last year, and they were absolutely mind-blowingly great. I've actually seen them on like every tour for the last like 4 or 5 years, and they still bring it live. And let's see how the new album is. I'm really looking forward to it. If the Prelude Implicit was any indication of kind of where they're going, I think it'll be a good one. So there you have it. All right, so that's our first episode of Deep Cut Dive. So again, there's lots of other great songs in their catalog that like the majority of the people don't even know unless you're like a real serious fan. So that's where you guys come in. So for all of you, real Kansas fanatics, pick out 5 other tracks other than the ones that I mentioned from deep in their catalog that the casual fan probably hasn't a clue about. All right, and recommend them to everybody else who's watching this episode so that we can all kind of share in the love of Kansas and some of their great hidden gems from within their many albums. That's the point of this show. All right, like I said, we're gonna try and bring this to you as often as possible. All right, I'm gonna try and do this every day. If I can't do it every day, it'll be like every other day. Okay, but we have other stuff we're gonna be doing. We're still gonna be doing ranking the albums and top 10 songs and all that kind of stuff. That's still gonna happen. Interviews with bands and all that fun stuff. So that'll still continue. All right. Monsters Den episode when I can get to it. Originally I was going to do that once a week. It's looking like we may get 1 or 2 of those a month, and that's okay. All right. I'm sure once the summer months kind of end, I'll get back to those a little more often because right now I'm not watching anything. Very rarely. I'm doing other things. I'm bringing content to you guys on YouTube. I'm swimming in my pool. I'm reading a lot right now. I'm working, so it's like me sitting in front of the TV watching movies. Haven't been doing much of that. But we'll get back to that. So anyway, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up this week. All right, tonight, Jack Toledano's coming back. We're going to continue on with our Primal Fear marathon. We're going to rank the studio albums of Primal Fear, great German power metal band. That is coming up. Also, later this week, Martin Popoff and I are going to be ranking the studio albums of The Police. I've got, hopefully over the next couple days, I'm going to rank the studio catalog of the great Canterbury progressive rock band Caravan. That's coming up too, and all sorts of other things happening. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss any of it. We'll see you soon, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.